So ahead of our game against Ipswich, the first game for Ruben Amorim, Man United has done something I personally believe is not really smart, giving an interview to Sky Sports and Gary Neville. And of course, as you expect, Gary Neville has quizzed Ruben Amorim on quite a number of things. Of course, not that Amorim has answered anything wrongly, but the timeliness of this interview, I believe, is not right, and it might have an impact on the players ahead of an important game that marks the start of the new era of Ineos, but most importantly, of Ruben Amorim as head coach of Man United. My name is Webb. Like, share, and subscribe. This is the United Hot Sport, and let's get into it now. Guys, we have an important game coming up on Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Man United traveling to Ipswich Town. And if anything, I think for me, Ruben Amorim is the one person involved in this game who has got to have maximum concentration on the game. And anything that seems to knock him off that, for me, should not be encouraged. But here we go. We are seeing an interview being released, a club legend in Gary Neville talking to Ruben Amorim about, of course, his the choice of Man United and how he was, of course, he spoke to several teams, but for United it was just the right moment, and he felt that he needed to move at this point. Whereas though his preference would have been to first finish the season with Sporting Lisbon, because I mean this is his club that he loves, the love of his life. You don't want to abandon the love of your life halfway, what looks like a promising campaign. And it makes sense, but of course, when Man United comes calling in a desperate situation like they were, certainly he had to make a decision because it might be a case of now or never. And you might regret for the rest of your life why you didn't take the Man United offer when it came. So for a manager like him, a young manager, even the old ones like Jose Mourinho always dreamed to manage a team like Man United. So you can't blame him. But for me, my issue is, I mean, the guy is focusing on building his squad now and preparing them in the best possible way for an important game against a coach who knows these players like the back of his hand in Kylian McKenna. It's the first game for Amorim, high pressure game, a lot of attention on him. The expectation is high, and you're dropping an interview just on the eve of the game, an interview with Gary Neville, the number one critic of the team, and we've all criticized this team, but also a number one critic of the players, and he's talking how players, of course. Perhaps shouldn't have been allowed to go out in Manchester given the current state of the club and stuff and what have you. And he might have a point in there in what Gary Neville is saying that it doesn't really look smart for a player like Marcus Rashford who has not been performing well, new manager in the team, there's an international break and he chose to go in Manchester and chill. Maybe he has some point to it, but is this the right time for Man United to be releasing an interview with the coach? And I think escalating such talks and pressures and and flack towards Marcus Rashford, or shouldn't we be calmly working from within, not revealing so much because I think we already revealed so much from the first training of Ruben Amorim. So my feeling is, what then is the thought process of Ineos, of whoever allows these interviews to go on and releases them, the timeliness of the interview? Because there is one thing to do an interview, and that's okay. Being a journalist myself, we always want to get that scoop, that major interview. And for Gary Neville and Sky Sports, it's a big one for them. But for Man United and the circumstances the club is in, what's how timely is it? How does it benefit the club now going into such an important game in the future and in the new era of Ineos? For me, that is where the disquiet is coming. And of course, there's quite a number of wrong decisions we've seen happen at Man United before, especially under the Glazers. But the feeling would be that with Ineos coming in, maybe they're looking to change things around and do things differently so that we hope to get different results. But if they continue handling media, because media is a very another major important part of why managers fail at Man United. Yes, there are issues within, but even media and how it is handled is a big issue because of the pressure this media will always bring to a Man United manager. So why start now and let Amorim face a Gary Neville and start being, ask questions about Marcus Rashford, player power, leader number one and stuff. For me, I have reservations about the timeliness. But of course, getting proper into the interview and what Amorim spoke about, of course, he will, like always, he wants to stand. Of course, you could see the passion in him and feeling, like he's where he would want to be. He's passionate about what he's getting into, and you can see that from the way he conducts his drills. That this is a passionate guy, excited about what he's trying to do, and what is the responsibility at hand for him, and that's a good thing. But I think we've said all this about him, and at the end, all we need to see is results and performances coming through, reflecting exactly the passion we see in him through the players, and of course passing to the into the stands. The 12th player, that's the supporters, also feel it, vibe with him, and of course we all push in the same direction. So for now, for me, everything Man United should be pushing in the direction of a positive atmosphere, even away against Ipswich, that Man United will then concentrate on the game, the players will concentrate on the game and give us the best they can do. I feel, by the way, that Amorim has got really fairly enough time for him to have a change, for us to see a change in how the team plays, in the attitude of the players, in the performance of the individual players. We were looking at players like Anthony and what they could give, what contribution they could have in the new Ruben Amorim era. Could Anthony be played as a wing back? Because probably it would suit him a little more, because under the new setup of Ruben Amorim, and by the way, this is why Anthony could actually flourish in this setup, is because under this new setup, there's not really a need for one particular player to try to do a lot of things, and in the name of being creative from the flanks. I think the things they do are basics. The things you do playing a 3-4-2-1 are basics. There is no need for that extremely, finesse, panache player. There is no room for such players anyway in the game lately, because of how structured the game is. So in such a structure, maybe Anthony could actually put his head down and do the basics, to keep it simple. Don't try to be fancy. Don't try to, over dribble and try to beat off people, but rather swing a cross, play a pass. Just know what you need to do and where you need to get the ball at what point. And maybe actually Anthony's career could be rejuvenated in this new Ruben Amorim era. But the one positive I'm seeing around is, I think, legends of Man United, I think, for once seem to collectively want to back Ruben Amorim to succeed. I listened to Michael Carrick, I've listened to Paul Scholes, and most of Nick Butt. Most of these legends seem to be rallying behind this young manager and have a lot of hope in what he can do. And now that it's almost here, the honeymoon is done and we are now getting into it. When it starts, it doesn't stop. You should know that the next international break will be in March, but each and every week, Man United will be playing two games or so. And in every game, the expectation at Man United is that you should be winning it. So it's certainly for me an exciting period, but I love to see that we all push in the same direction with a lot of excitement, with a lot of belief. I will be listening to him in his first press conference later, and of course, I'll be coming back to react to it, play bits of it as well for you. That is the official press conference for Ruben Amorim ahead of the game against Ipswich, and of course, that is when we shall get an idea of how he's going to set up his team, and of course, we will be reacting to that. For now, that's it. The Sky Sports interview has happened, but how does it impact the team? That's something we'll talk about later on here on the United Sport. My name is Webb. Let me catch you later.